Well, hello, good welcome to the garden. Here it is. Here's today's reading for how things are going to go for us today. I'm real excited because the fickle flower of fate landed on Earth today. So we'll talk about that when we get to that point. When I know I have people, I realize it 2 minutes until we're supposed to be on. I just got off the phone with another reader trying to find out who's. Hi, Ronnie. I just got off the phone with another reader because I'm trying to find out who's doing stuff for 8/8. I'm going to be on. I'm going to talk a little more about it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it today because of impressions I've gotten about how this is really an important date on our moving forward calendar. 8/8 is going to be a big deal, and I'm going to go into some more of that. So because of that, I pulled a couple of extra things. I found out people go back and they post on my community page after the day I've already done the show. So I went back and found about 5 questions because I got emails from people saying, why didn't you answer my question? And it's because I didn't know they'd put them on. Yes, best day for all of us. It is a good day for everyone. Um, it's nice weather here today. It's not abysmally hot. I'm still not going out. I live in a state that's COVID central, and I have no intention of getting this. My son has a friend whose mother-in-law is on a ventilator, and she'd been vaccinated. She just got a breakthrough infection, and she was in a very weakened state. Oh, there used to be on Laugh-In, there was a Fickle Finger of Fate, and they would bring it out, and it would come, and they'd either tell some story. Angelina, good for you. Woo! She made it today. But they had this Fickle Finger of Fate, and it was this finger that was, anyway. They would bring it out, and they would talk about something stupid someone had done, and this was in the late '60s, and there's lots of stupid things to talk about that people did in the late '60s. So I just named it the Fickle Flower of Fate, and it's fickle because I have no idea when I go to bed at night what area I'm going to get a chance to look at. And last night it was so almost benign. I was like, did I see something? And then I just got the message start typing, and I did. I got Earth, the element of Earth. And each of these spaces in the garden has really amazed me. I'm really interested to put when they said you're going to have to write a book to explain this, I was like, yeah, you go find somebody to write the book because I'm not doing it. But this has made it relatively painless, a page about a space a day. And it really has enlightened for me as I read the garden more information on how to help y'all navigate through it for those who are going to be buying the garden, taking the class, or just following up with me to see how this divination tool works. But we know every day I start with, I pull a card out of the crystal reading card, the healing oracle. And today, when I pulled it out, 2 cards came out. And that's fitting because the first card that came out is Boji Stones. And that's actually a trademark name. And it's Boji Stones, and it means balance. And the way Boji stones work is one side's really, really, really smooth and the other side's really, really rough. So there's a balance. And sometimes it's 2 stones linked together that look like that. But what they've taken it to mean is it's a combination of the feminine energy, the smooth feminine energy, and the rough masculine energy. Very sexist sort of statement. But anyway, they're just saying 2 things that seem opposite of each other. And they can be gray. They can also be kind of bluish. I saw one that was kind of bluish. It relates to all of the chakras. It's a shaman stone. It's been found in ancient sites where people were worshiping. These powerful allies assist you on your journey into worlds of the spirit to connect your animal totems and all of the various sides of yourself. And the crystal means create balance, grounds the spiritual experience into the physical world, supports soul retrieval of a journey from the inner realms, assists in connecting your power of your animal and your spirit, or your spirit animal, is that way. The card appeared today to remind you of the importance of balance in your life. Attaining balance can bring about deep clarity and inner peace on many levels. And I think that's really important because we're going to talk about Lionsgate again. I've got some more things to tell you about it, and all of a sudden everybody's putting up shows about it, and which is really fun for me because then I can say, oh, this one said this and this one said that. So this is the second stone I pulled, which is malachite, and malachite's meaning is healing. So we have balance and healing, and that is actually what most of the psychics that do a lot of work, energetic work with, like the sun, our solar system and stars out there, are saying this Lionsgate is a chance for us to balance. It's, malachite it's green with these lovely black swirls. That green in there is copper that's melded into the system. Malachite is our most potent physical healing stone in the crystal kingdom. It works most closely with the heart, but it goes through all layers, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, bringing all of them together. And it benefits all kinds of healing, and just like the Boji stone, malachite covers all chakras. Whatever chakra you want to work with, you have a good malachite you like, it will help you. And the key points from the divas about malachite are deep healing properties, penetrates all levels of your being and promotes overall healing, assists in healing bones, bruises, and other physical diseases, opens and expands the heart chakra. So if someone says, I'm having trouble opening my heart chakra, I got my malachite heart I was wearing the other day to heal that heart chakra and its protection, allowing the power of love to dissolve deeply and to dissolve all those deeply held resentments and sadness, and it eases deep heartache. So I thought those two perfect stones, considering a lot of the things I'm hearing about 8-8. And part of 8-8 is don't get so serious and down in the dumps, sweetie lumps, about what's caused you pain. So I dug out one of my favorite t-shirts. I don't know if any of you remember, but in 2010, Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart had a big rally in the mall about promoting sanity. And there's actually a YouTube video on this event. And I heard about it, and even though I didn't really have the money to really get there, unless I drove and found someone else who wanted to help pay for the gas, and we had a place to stay in D.C. if I could get there. Well, about 3 hours outside of D.C., he calls me and says, I've got the flu, and I know you can't walk in here to where there's a flu. And this was back when my lungs were really, really crappy. And I said, no, I can't. So he offered to pay for us. He found us a hotel room. And we got a hotel room in the D.C. area, actually out in Arlington, Virginia, and stayed there. And we were at the end of the metro line. We took the metro in. We got up really early on the day of this event because I had to have a place to sit down because my knees had not been fixed yet. And once I walked in there, I was going to be where I was going to be till I walked out. And we went in. We had a wonderful time. And I didn't realize it, but over 215,000 people came to that event. And at the end of the event, all of a sudden I felt very lightheaded and very woozy. And my daughter, and there was a guy standing behind me, and he said, you need to go get medical help. Well, we were kind of kitty corner from the medical tent. My daughter went and got the firemen. They came and took my blood pressure and stuff, stuffed me in an ambulance, and took me to the Howard University Hospital. The only good thing about that was, if you want to get out of a crowd of 215,000 people and get out really quickly, sort of seamlessly, be in an ambulance, because they will get you there. I got to the hospital. It's kind of an all-night adventure. I was supposed to drive back to Dallas the next day, and I ended up doing it because UT Southwestern has electronic medical records, and the doctor at Howard could see that the things he was seeing in my heart is just how my heart used to beat back in the day. And he said, well, if you got here alive this way, you can go. So I went home. But it was the reason I wore it today was I was thinking They wanted to run in 2016. They certainly would have been better than what we ended up with. But it was just a wonderful, fun time. But the most fun there, they were great. But the most fun there was the crowd of people, because we were there all day before the show really got started, seeing all the people go by. So it was a wonderful people watching event. It's the last time I'll ever go into a large crowd, because I think the energy in that crowd had as much to do with why I felt sick at the end as anything else. But it was still a lot of fun and a good thing to do. And if you get a chance to go do something fun, go do it and see what happens. And then you can proudly show off your T-shirt. And by the way, when I bought this T-shirt, it fit me. That was 100 pounds ago. So it's kind of, this T-shirt's about to become a nightshirt. Next thing on our agenda. Earth. Okay. The Finkel Finger of Fate says we've landed on Earth. And, Earth is part of the elementals and part of the scarf. And this was kind of one of the weirder dreams, because I didn't talk to a lot of people. Visually, there was not a lot to really see. But it was very, very interesting and very, very telling. Earth. The space was comfortable without a lot of structures in it. It is just being present. It is just being there. Earth is the one element that just physically exists. And actually, in truth, in Tarot, this is coins, and that is the only element in Tarot that is absolutely manifest in our physical world. So Earth is manifest in our physical world. It is an energy emerging into its physical form. You're kind of in that point where you're going from thought to what you're going to manifest. You'd think with all that energy of that going on, you'd feel something that was blah, 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 but it wasn't. It was very smooth and flowing. Vision of this space is pleasant. It's neutral. And I did not arrive alone. And I never see these people who are with me. So maybe at the end they'll introduce themselves. Discussion of moving forwards are gentle, and everything's collaborative. We are awake and aware of the profound changes in physical guidance within our body. In other words, if you feel it in your body, that's a great sign on how to move forward. Body is also the energetic, sort of the way you get your energy in the flesh. Ideas are emerging, becoming physical, touchable, and concrete. Bring the wave into the particle to move the ideas and the concepts into perfect environments for growth and movement. Fix in the physical form. The particles are here so that we can progress. They get set up by vision, brought into physical form, so that you can take it to the go for it space and go for it. It gives you the clarity to see the various forms and paths to choose from. So when I got up this morning, I was looking at my sheet to see, when you land in Earth, what do the stones mean? And the stones basically mean what that just said. They say physical changes are coming, thoughts of situations are coming, spirits transforming but not yet finished. More is to be brought forward, so it's not completely emerged, and you have many paths ahead of you can pick, because you'll have clarity. So all of the 4 points that I wrote months ago on the little cheat sheet were in that explanation. And there wasn't a building, and buildings to me mean I've come to understand the physical body and what's going on with it. So I now have Earth done. Now all I have left is heart, throat, third eye, crown, and tree of life. Or maybe it's just, no, I have heart. Yeah, I think that's the 5. I have 5 spaces left. That means I have 5 more days for sure that I'll be on every day in a row, because that's what I've been told is how I'm going to get this thing through. Yes, and the hospital was wonderful. I mean, and they were so nice to me. And they were like, well, and I was very fortunate because I have great insurance. And I did then, and I still do, because I have Medicare now. I didn't have Medicare then. I had insurance for my husband before he died. Also, I want to thank everyone who went to my community page. A lot of people checked it. I got some emails from people. My friend had her go bag ready. She managed to get back to her house. It's on 15 acres of ground in the hills of California. Northern California. She got her go bag, got her the other couple things she knew she always wanted to grab. She had them all set up, got the dogs, and got out. And she's been staying with her sister away, kind of away from the fire. But the sister was still packed and ready to go because if the winds had changed enough, it would have blown up on her. Anyway, that night the wind shifted. So Anne has not gone home yet because they're still dealing with the power lines and clearing out forest and different things. But she said at least where she lives, at least where her house is. Now her house is her house. She and her father and a friend designed it. Then they hired the construction people, and she actually physically helped build the house she lives in up in the hills. It's a beautiful home. And she's getting ready to retire, so pray for her. That she was in the second day of the last year she's ever going to teach, unless she chooses to teach after her retirement age. But as it looks now, this year is going to be the last year. She's a wonderful person. She works with visually impaired and children who lose their sight. They either go blind from cancer or congenital diseases. But she works with kids, little kids, like grade school kids that are losing their sight and going blind. And she's a wonderful teacher for them. And, if she'd lost everything, I don't know where she would have lived. It's very difficult. And she was getting the house ready to sell. And she will have still a house to sell, which is what she wants to do. And so thank you to everyone who prayed for her. And when I talked to her on the phone the other day, she said, thank everyone who prayed for me. I really appreciate it. She said, it's scary. Now, somebody can Boji Stone. They're kind of a yin and yang stone. Yes, they are. They're kind of a masculine and feminine stone. That's kind of what they do. We got questions from the community page, and like I explained, I think earlier, people went on and they posted on the community page on days that I'd already gotten past. So I went back through and tried to grab all of the questions that I realized I hadn't answered. And one of the women wanted to know if where she was moving she'd be able to find a chiropractor or alternative medicine to help with her situation. So I'm going to do a roll on alternative medicine, and then I'll do a roll on a chiropractor as a separate thing. Okay? Ooh. Everything's happening. It's all going to come together for you this summer. You're going to know immediately when you go in the place that this is the medicine you need to use. I'll find out if it's chiropractor or the other. Third eye, you got your intuition is telling you that's the kind of medicine you need, and it's spot on. Your values and your spirit and your body are all hugging up here in air, and actually in some other spaces too. Ground your thinking and help. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you need whoever you work with needs to do something that's going to ground your energy back in your body. I think things in your body are breaking down because you're not holding on to all your energy, so it makes you weaker. And then you have spirit in this is totally in air, so it's completely transforming your thinking, almost going into the future. But the best stone for you in this whole thing is clarity in the tree of life, because it says your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. So I'm going to tell you, I don't know if it's the alternative doctor or if it's a chiropractor, but I'm not going to roll anymore on this. This couldn't have been a better, go for it, girl. And you'll know the second you get in there, because you have really strong discriminating abilities to figure it out. Sick cats. I don't know what's wrong with your cats. I know there's a lot of different things that make sick, but this woman has sick cats. So, I'm trying to decide the best way to handle this. I'm going to start by offering a prayer to you that's a really interesting power prayer, and it gets rid of negative energies. And I think sometimes when my cats have been sick, it's because they had too much negative energy around them. Not that I brought it in, but cats are spiritual beings too. This is called the violet flame. And what the violet flame is it's a prayer to the keepers of the violet ray, which is the ray of transmutation. And I know a lot of you say, what's the difference between transformation and transmutation? And transmutation is where you actually take energy and you actually clean it up or change it or reconfigure it. Transformation may mean it looks like this and then it moves up. So what I want to read for you is the violet flame. If the person who saw this wants a copy of this prayer, I have it in a form I can just email a PDF to you. If you're one of the people watching the show today and you want to get the prayer, you can just email me. It's in my description below and get it. And the violet flame, for public or private places, for the highest good of everyone. And this is preferably if you say this out loud. And it says, I call upon the Archangel Zadkiel, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, Diane and Victoria, and all the angels of the violet ray. Blaze, blaze, blaze the violet flame in, through, and around all public and private spaces, all facilities, whether related to healthcare, detention, government, law, enforcement, education, agriculture, food. In this case, I presume your cats are in your home. We're going to go right to the home. Animals and animal facilities, children and child care facilities. Then you say, and remove all discordant energies and entities. Violet flame, every piece of wood, everything, every place, all the people, all the animals, all the things. Transmute any and all low, misguided energies. Transmute all cause and core effects, records, memories, known and unknown, in all dimensions, past, present, and future, to the highest good of everyone. Send this discordant, misguided energy back to the original source of all there is, where it can be repolarized and regenerated back into the original white light state. When this has been completed, then return the white light back to the places, people, animals, and things that had them. So you're asking the angels, you're asking those guides, those ascended masters, to kind of go through, it's like a big Hoover, vacuum up all the negative energy, take it up to what I rather probably tongue-in-cheek refer to as the big laundromat in the sky, wash it up, clean out all the gookies, send them back to whatever dimension they need to be in, and bring the good energy back. And I say this a lot in my own house. The one I say, I've had edited it down so it just talks about my house. But this prayer you can adapt to whatever situation you want. It's very powerful. I've used it to help when I used to work in the vintage clothing store, because vintage stuff has old people energy attached to it. Yeah, I feel for people with sick kitties. I've had about 9 different cats in my life, and I'm down to one, Dublin, and she's the hardiest creature in the world. She never gets sick, and so I really feel for people whose animals are sick. That prayer will work for them. Animals are included in it. So that was one of the questions. The other, one of the people who I knows on this channel a lot, she was asking me, can I use other stones in the garden? You can use whatever stone you want in the garden. You probably want to pick something. This body stone is probably about as big as you'd want to use, and I have tiny hands. So, because if you pick a giant stone, it's always going to be in 6 spaces. So, but you can use whatever stone you want. Just be sure you understand what your feeling is about that stone. I give people guidance in the instructions on which stone means what thing, so that they understand. Pyrites for grounding, calcites for mental, sodalites for clarity, spirit is amethyst. What else would be spirit? And fusite is for the body, and fusite is a stone that's connected with fairies and elementals that are part of the ground. And then it's basically, how do you see the body? How do you see the mind? How do you see all those things interact? And placing them in the garden. So if you pull in other stones, the other day I did a rhodochrosite that I used. We have a specific question from JL. She wants to know if she's going to find prosperity on her own. Yeah, but you're not your value system. You got that one right in the middle. All the elements are lined up with you. Don't be tied to false energy of the past mentally. You need to let go of, you've got some, what I hear clearly from my guides is you have a lot of things in your head that are saying, oh, you were raised in a generation when women didn't live on their own. It wasn't safe for a woman to be on her own. I don't know how much that has to do with this, but it says that you need to get rid of some of your false things, like you can't take care of yourself, women shouldn't be on their own, all that crap. I mean, if you want to still tie into that, that's fine, but I think that's a big part of your programming. But right in the center, you got mental actions are your path to abundance. Clarification comes from dealing with your past. More will be brought forward to help you understand what's going on clearly. And grounding changes are changing your long-term plans. And that's right in the middle. That's one stone that had all those messages. Your mind's changing, your abilities are changing, you're getting a different view of how to do things. You're going to figure this out. And then everything moves forward to... Actually, I think at this time you're beginning to really manifest in and bring in that change of living circumstance for yourself. Because Spirit's really growing inside of you and you're being able to see things that are coming around the corner. And I think you need to be in a very different space because your clarity shows ideas planted at this time will flourish. And you're having clarity on a variety of paths. So the way I'd put this together is the only thing holding you back is some old mental images that you carry around. You need to just let them go. They won't work for you. I mean, you don't have to let them go. You don't have, but I think you are letting them go. And yes, you are going to be able to get enough prosperity to take care of yourself. You just need to open up that part of your brain that says you can have those. Now, for those of you who watch, and most of you kind of figure it out or you show up later, because I have about sometimes 50, sometimes less people watch during the hour, and then I have a couple hundred build up during the day. But today, because I went to the Violet Flame, and I'm talking about Lionsgate, I was watching a show about Lionsgate on Amanda Ellis's network, her channel. And she's in England, and she does a lot of work with archangels and ascended masters. She's a very interesting lady. She's just worse than me about going on and on. So anyway, she was talking about how she's another person. She's actually one of the first shows I heard where she talked about the importance of Lionsgate. I knew a bit about it because I read about it before, but it was really under her, get out there and start writing your lists and paying attention to this date. And actually all the portal gate dates, she got me interested in those. And a couple of years ago, I spent quite a bit of time researching them. And when she talked today, she talked about this ascended master. It's a woman. Well, mostly she's pictured as a woman. Kuan Yin, and I'm sure I'm saying that totally wrong. She means care and compassion. Her message is to do love, do what is right for everyone that's involved, offering the helping hand. And she's a Buddha-like being and a goddess of mercy and compassion in Buddhism and in traditions in China that became part of the Buddhist culture, not cult. She goes beyond religion and warms the hearts of all who come near her. She's a strong connection to energy healing and particularly Reiki. Her extended message is, first of all, the Keepers of the Light, which is what I'm reading from, which is a book of Ascended Masters and Angels. And she helps you acknowledge your service and commitment that you can offer to others. It's basically her message is be all loving. If someone's a challenge to you, she brings the message of friendship and care to help us to have greater understanding. And that's one of the breakthroughs I understand we're going to have in 8-8 is a lot better understanding of love and compassion for each other. And when I pulled her out of this deck to find a reference about her, I found charity. Faith, hope, and charity are the trinity of archangels who are dedicated to helping us regain our natural traits of kindness, trust, and faith for the highest good. And the powerful archangel, Charity, is drawing close to you at this time because she's recognized that you need the goodness in your heart and to put yourself first above others. She brings you thanks and support. Move into prayer and meditation with regard to decisions you're making at this time. You've been guided at this time to breathe and to receive, to know that you have the real surge of intuition that it's time to move forward. Like I said, this is Kyle Gray's deck, and it's both male and female keepers of the light. He has Odin, he has Celtic gods, he's got some really interesting things in there. Okay. I had somebody ask if ash, no, moonlight will make it through the ash. I just wouldn't be standing out in smoke and breathing it in. That's not good. She's very in tune. Amanda Ellis is very in tune with a lot of the earth changes we're going through. She's very in tune with the energies beyond us. She's a really interesting lady. I admire a lot of the work she does. I'm not much into channeling people who are dead. It's just not what I do. So I don't pay much attention to that part of what she does. But I do listen to her about special days, special practices. And she creates essences and fragrances that you can put around you to create blessings. And I do believe that works because I believe certain kinds of wood and incense and things work. Another person who's having a thing on 8-8, who's one of us that I know I can talk to him. I just got off the phone with Danny. And Bathrobe Tarot, every Sunday, he does a section called Spirit Sunday. And he he just talks about something, and he says at the very beginning, this isn't a political read, and he just talks about some spiritual movement or how the earth sees the energy going in the next week, just all kinds of very gentle, loving, calming, help you focus in a positive way if you're working in our world. He's going to have something on 8-8. I sent him some information because one of the things that happens when we go through this shift where what happens on the 8th of August is the earth lines up, and the earth and the sun line up with Sirius, the closest, brightest star to us, and it's called our spiritual sun, is what it was called astrologically, and it's not people who deal with energies out there. And it actually starts pulling into alignment the 28th of July, and then it goes on to the 12th of August. But the absolute dead center, best, clearest day when that everything's all lined up is on the 8th. And he's going to talk about that in his show. He's not doing a ceremony or anything. He's just going to read the cards about the kind of transition we're in. The person who's going to have a show, like a show, like a ceremony show, is Diane Aquarius, Diane's Tarot. That's Diane with 2 N's, if you don't know. And she's doing it on 8-8 at 8:08 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So in my time zone, it'd be 7. And it'd be 6 Mountain and 5 Pacific. But she's very good at this stuff. I know, or she's kind of known more for work with alien interpretations. But Sirius has some, and its alignments with us have something to do with that world too. So she's doing a show on Sunday, and I heard her talking about it. It sounds like it's going to be very good. She just had some surgery, so I'm hoping she'll be up to doing it. But I think she will because she was talking about it the other day again. Okay, Evan went to see his father with dementia, and he wants to know if this changed. So we're going to look at the situation around your father and you, and we're going to see how that's going. Yeah, he heard you. He may not have been able to break out of his own mind to tell you that, but it boosts you, it made you feel better, and you feel like you can speak more securely about where he is. And he heard you when you spoke to him, because this says boost self-esteem through communication. And then the third eye, it was important for you to go ahead and have that time with him to help you with your own vision of who he is and what's going on around him, and to move forward. It's given you a real spiritual lift, I have a feeling, because you have spirit in the present. Spirit changes are happening for you right now, and they're happening with you because you're transforming your thinking. I don't know if it cuts some of the fear of what's going on around him, but I think it helped clarify it a little bit. Also, an area your mind got there. And your thinking is all important about this, because you're being drawn into the past. Fire is the past. It's the south. In shamanistic terms, it is where we come from. And it's making you dig through and rethink who and how he was, and who and how you will be as you move forward. And the other part of that is you're learning to trust some of your impressions of your past in a way that's helping you move forward. The clarity for you is this stone here, and it's in fire also. Use ideas you have from your past to look towards solutions. So I think when you have, I don't know what kind of dementia he has, but when you have dementia in your family, I know I have friends who have it. I did not happen to have that in my family. It helps you kind of figure out your own path forward in dealing with this too. So, yeah, he heard you. He felt your love. And watching him go through this has been a real transformative time for you in your life. Strongly, strongly feel that. Um, 808 is the area code for Hawaii. Woo! What you know? I remember that because my parents used to live there back when you had to dial phones and they weren't all just plugged in numbers. Anybody else have a question? That's what I'm here for. Oh, I'll tell you yesterday, okay? Okay, we're going to do a thing about the situation about supporting people who are caregivers. Help them out. These two say, with your clarity, help them move forward. Help them have visions of days that they won't always be the caregiver. And it's hard because spiritually it's a tough situation to live in. Your spirit, when you go and you deal with them, you'll see what they need. The first thing I heard was they need to go in and figure out what that person needs, what the caregiver needs, so you're sort of taking care of the caregiver. And some are so terrified to leave because they think if they leave, something awful is going to happen. You need to either bring them things they wouldn't bring for themselves, help them out, give them time. Time to have a break, mentally and physically. And this says, when you go near them, your spirit will know what to say to them and how to get through to them, because they're caught between a future they know is going to change and where they are now is not going to always be there, but it's difficult for them to see that when they're caught up in that. And let's see. Does that answer your question, Andrea? Because I think you had a specific person in mind. Okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see what the situation is around Tina and her oldest granddaughter. Oops. And which one fell off? Oh, crap. Wait a second. Body, mind, spirit. I'm going to read the 4 that are on here. I think I know where the other one went. It's kind of a mess down there. Ah, right. Was clarity is what fell off the board, and that's kind of what I thought. Man, I'm not seeing much here that's clear. I have a hard floor, so when the stones get away, they escape completely. Okay, here we go. We're going to roll that one as its own thing when we're done with this. What I'm seeing is you have a lot of... One of the reasons you two don't get along is there's a whole lot of things she's doing that you think you did wrong when you were young, and you don't want her to make the same mistakes, and she's not hearing that. If you trust your spirit and your intuition, you'll know how to deal with this. I think she really does want to recreate a relationship with you. It's just both of you are very stubborn and neither one knows how to say the right words to get that together. But long-term patterns are changing for you. Your mind is between the present and the future, and I don't know what she's doing that's making you so angry, but I got a real feeling from this stone being where it is. It's body in the present. At this time, you're of two minds about dealing with her. And like I said, your clarification fell off the board. So I don't think you have enough information to be able to deal with it clearly, but we're going to try one more time to keep the clarification stone on the board. Okay, you got it, and restate. Now, restate can mean say the whole question again, but mostly when I had my vision of what restate really means, it means that you need to weed out. You need to spend a lot of time thinking about this before you go forward with it. I think both of you have old ingrained things from the past that you're holding on to, like terrier dogs. And I think between both of you are feeling the same kind of weird disconnect from each other. This one means you need to really look at your whole relationship with her kind of from soup to nuts and make sure that you're going to get what you need from that relationship before you go forward. Okay, let's see if Kathy G, we're going to do a message for Kathy G, then we're going to look at whether Suzanne's guides are testing your intuition. Okay. Your guide's message for you today is, and I gotta stop that so it doesn't roll away. Something from in the past you want to bring forward. There's some skill or ability you have, and it's bugging you, and now you have all this energy moving forward. The Earth is the east. That's where ideas rise up out of, and then they come to the water, and then they flow, and they go out into these areas. And right in the middle of everything, girl, you got spirit sitting right in the middle of all that. So this stone says, Spirit's transforming your thinking. Thoughts from the past are actually clouding your judgment. Your transformations are not yet finished, but they are in the way to being completed. So Your spirits are trying to tell you today, whatever that thing that's knocking around the back of your head says, go for it, go do it. Go for it and go do it. You're blocking yourself from moving forward. You're making excuses from your body about didn't work in the past and blah blah blah. Listen to them. If you just open it up and say, I'm not gonna you don't have to invent the how. You just have to be the vehicle that'll come forward and let it happen. Okay. Okay, Suzanne, let's see if your guides are really testing your intuition. What's the situation between Suzanne, her guides, and her intuition? No, they're not. You got false for that. And I'm going to say that's false. That means it's in your head because you have a hard time accepting what your intuition's telling you. And your spirit is in an incredibly creative point right now. It's got inspired. You're just having inspirations of great energy, but in the past, in the fire, you're seeing. Oh, okay, yeah, they are testing. In a way, they're testing your intuition a little bit. Your inspirations are coming out of past lives. You're beginning to find you have talents and skills you didn't think you had, but they come from a past life, and that's why when you just slide in, it all works. And I see you moving forward, physically accepting that and moving forward in it, and grounding your thoughts and being sure what you want to do. But I think this is the one that's most important, is that you're standing between, you're letting your mind stand, your ego part stand between you and lessons you're getting from a past life. And you really need to let those come in. Mental actions are your path to abundance. Not using the ego mind, but just moving forward with what your intuitions tell you is your path forward. Okay, we're going to see the situation around your grandmother and her healing knowledge, Ronnie, because why didn't is a yes, no. So we're just going to see what the healing path was. Okay. Then I can give you a clearer picture if you're talking about one person, Andrea, but let me get through Ronnie first. Okay. Because it was forbidden. I mean, she took so much flack for what she did. She just absolutely did not want you guys to go through what you went through. Mentally, she's at this trifecta point of her mind was in the future. She didn't want you guys to have to deal with the amount of change that she dealt with on a regular basis because of her healing abilities. She could open up, you know what, she could still be a guide for you. If you'd open yourself up, I think she'd come through, because you've got several things in here that say, look for guidance. She didn't pass it on because of this stone. This is the most important stone on here. She almost doesn't know how she knew how to do it, because it was almost a past life thing, or if she learned from family to family. And either there was a disinterest somewhere along the line in the family about it, but very much you can tie into her anytime you want, because you can make it all clear. You can meditate and bring in her energy and get some clear paths. Then you have to follow your intuition and be led where they look for the synchronicities of how to go ahead and work with healing. Okay, Andrea, I'm going to tell you with what I saw in that reading, that woman needs time. She needs a break. She needs to have, not be, somehow or another someone's convinced her if she leaves the room, everything's going to fall apart. Okay, let's see what this, Tina, we're going to see what the situation is around your granddaughter, because I saw just a real funny disconnect there. She's coming back to you in the future. These two stones tell me in the future. She I don't know if you were critical of someone she got close to, or she just may be withdrawing from everybody. She's having a real hard time with her own thoughts, and she's got heart and love, and she's got the heart chakra and false with the. It's a reconsideration of both of your values. I think she just, that's where she is. And it's beyond a physical realm. It's nothing. If you took the iPad away from her, it wouldn't make a difference. Let's see, got here. Thank you, Suzanne. I just skipped a whole bunch of stuff. I have a friend that one day we were having a Zoom call because we're all trying to lift each other's spirit, and she just went and got in her phone and just sat there like that on her phone the whole time instead of talking to the three of us. When we got off the phone, I just had it, and I called her up and I said, I know things are tough, a lot of stuff's not going the way you want it to go, but I think it's because you're sticking your nose in thinking somehow that machine's going to feed you a message instead of reaching out to real people. Well, my friend thought, well, I just can't believe, you'd call me up and say this to me when I'm down. And I said, well, tell you what, if I see you try to pull me down to your level, I won't be back. And this is someone who's been a friend 10 years. And since we had that conversation, she did some life-changing things, and things are really working in her favor now. So, and she and I talked today. She's a good friend. I'm glad the slap in the face I gave her worked for me, but I spoke to her from what my spirit told me I needed to tell her. So I don't know, because it's your granddaughter, I don't know. And I don't know how old she is. I don't know where she is with life. She may just be feeling so bad she just doesn't want to talk to or face anyone. It's not just you. Okay, let's see. I don't know. Okay, let's see the situation around your son and daughter-in-law's marriage. Got good cards. Get good lay at the end. The guidance is gonna help them. If they're going to a good counselor, that's gonna help them a whole lot. They're moving forward. There's things that have gone on that you don't know about, probably just as well you don't. Those are things they really need to work out between the two of them. I think the two of them knew each other in a past life, with these two stones being here. That's karma, past life energy, and that's where their spirit is. And I think, yeah, right now what's happening in their contemporary life is sort of a recreation of something that happened in a past life, and that didn't go well. But these stones being in air, it shows nothing's going to happen till winter, and by then a whole lot could have shifted around. But at the most interesting stone here is that I think both of them really want to save the marriage, and that's very, very helpful. I think, yeah, they have a charming 5-year-old son. Being a 5-year-old and being raised in a war zone isn't any fun either. I divorced my first husband, and my son came home when he was in high school, freshman year, and he said, "This is the worst, you're divorced," and blah, blah, blah. And of course, I was about to have another baby, so that was making him a little insecure. He was 16. And I'd remarried, and his dad had remarried, and his dad had made a very bad second marriage, so he'd already had a second divorce. And I told my son, there are worse things than having divorced parents. And he said, "No, they're not. You and Dad should have gutsed it out. You should have stayed together, blah, blah, blah." Well, about a month later, he started dating this girl whose parents were staying together for the sake of the children. And their house was just energetically an open war zone. My oldest son's very, very, very empathic. And the next weekend when he and I were sort of talking about things, he said, you know, when you said there are worse things than being in a divorce? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I've seen it, and you're right. There are worse things than being in a divorce. So they've got a past life thing going on. They knew each other in a past life that can help or hurt them in this time through. I think the son will survive if everybody doesn't tell him that he's supposed to not be okay from that. And they're working on it. Nothing's going to happen till fall and winter anyway. I mean, at least as far as making a final decision. See about your daughter-in-law and her issues and what path they're on. She's going to get some clarity this fall. All the stones are basically falling in the fall. Something's going on around her right now that's shaking her values, is making her really think that she needs to straighten up. Mental actions must be taken prior to you move towards abundance. Well, yes. And for clarity, she's got many paths ahead, but I think she'll pick the right one. Her body, she needs to listen to her body's signals. Is she having physical symptoms that are subject to stress? Because that's what I'd get from this configuration. And her mind is just set on false energy from the past. And if she gets help, I think she's going to acknowledge she needs help, because I see her making a change. She was raised in a family that told people to be deaf, dumb, and blind when they had problems. So she's fighting a lot of family energy. Okay, let's see. I'm going to ask if there's going to be some new, because I don't know what kind of MS she has. I don't know how that came about. I'm going to see. I've seen there are going to be some breakthroughs in various diseases, and I think this is when a lot of the stuff they found out about COVID and the RNA and stuff is going to flow into other medicines. But let's see. I'm not a medical doctor. I was born to one, but I'm not one. In the future. Yeah, she's going to have a chance to move forward in the future. Everything's in the future for her. Clarity's coming in the future. Her body's going to become emboldened with some new energy in the future. Spiritually, she's going to have an uplifting in the future. The problem's going to be, I think this is true for anyone who has a chronic disease. Even if you're offered a chance, even if you have a chance to trust chance, and you see that it's like working with people around you, sometimes it's hard to let go of the impression, because you get yourself built up in your mind. I can handle this, or I have this disease and this is going to be it. I'm not going to read about the children going back to school in Florida, and I will tell you why. I'm too emotionally close to this, because my grandchildren are going to maybe be going back to school in Texas. Oh, yeah. Trauma can bring on MS. It just triggers it off. It's still something that's in your system. I can't. It gives me a headache, because my grandchildren are going to have to go back out into that zoo, and they are ways away from getting vaccinated. And unless things change around my son and my daughter-in-law, their circumstances, those kids have got to go back to school, and it's just a mess. I can't believe that people who claim to want to rescue every baby, even when the mother can't support it, are not going to do anything to try and help people who are struggling as hard as they are. I'll roll it. I'm pretty sure, Rosario. Because the situation is really close to my heart. Cactus, have you guys looked at nutritional things you can do for her? Because I know there's some doctors around who work with that. And they work not just with drugs and stuff, but with nutrition. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to preach to that choir. I know that I've met some doctors who work with geriatric patients or chronically ill patients and work with them with diets. So I don't know if there's someone in your area that does that. I live in Dallas. We have doctors who do everything. Okay, now we're going to go to children and COVID, and then I'm going to wrap this up because this is going to give me a headache. And then I'm going to have one goodbye card for y'all. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Oh, no, it is. My ideas are correct about what's going on, and my intuition's spot on. So it has its insights. Now, what we've got clustered here is the mind, the spirit, and the body. Body, mind, and spirit. So, body's fine. The solution to this, physical changes are coming, so I think they're going to find out that there's going to be some ways to protect kids. I think there's going to be some lawsuits that are going to spank Governor DeSatan in the butt. Thoughts of the past and trying to hold on to the way things were are making the people who don't want to mask the kids, that's their crazy thinking. And mentally, God, these clowns. They're tied to the false energy of the past. But the most important stones are these two that say that there is a way out of this, that the clarification's coming. So I pray for you like I pray for my own. Both of them are good. Tiger's Eye is really, really powerful healer and transmuter of negative energy. Lapis Lazuli pulls in good positive energy. Both of those are, if you're thinking about protection and for your own immunity, those are both powerful crystals. I still would tell you to wash your hands and get your shots, because I don't know a rock that's as powerful as COVID-19. The other thing I'll tell you is, for the grandmother that's concerned out there, I heard something. There's a guy named John Campbell. It's Campbell, and he's a PhD nurse in England, and he's got 1 million+ followers. He's brilliant. He's the one I started watching when it was all starting. Okay, I'll do one more reading for Terry, and then I'll do where she is on her path. And then I'm going to bow out. Okay, Terry, where's Terry Ortega on her path? You're getting a lot of clarification this summer. Your third eye is opening up, and you're finally speaking up for yourself, so you're on that right part. A lot of spiritual information is emerging for you right now. But a lot's broken loose for you this summer. Some changes have happened that I'm seeing these as movement as much as anything else. And you ground your thoughts. Your thoughts are all important, and your thoughts are clear. So your thoughts are clear. You're thinking from your third eye, Terry. You've got the ability to speak, and your whole spiritual sense is really emerging and coming up over to where it can move forward. You're in a great place. You really are. You just need to open up to it. Okay. I'm going to pull one last card and for everybody, and I will be back on again tomorrow at 1. And if you want your question, if you have a question you really want to be sure it gets answered, make sure it gets on the community page. Sunflower is our card for the day. It says what we need to do is assertiveness. Rise up, stand stronger and true. So, okay, someone has just posted on the comments about a book. I don't know who this is, Anthony Williams, but it's about how to help with MS. Well, BC Mom, I'm not going to answer this from the garden. I'm going to answer it from common sense. Your guides are there for you, but guides and spirit guides that are around you that you're aware of. You don't have to talk to them every day. My guide Addie followed me around for 68 years before I acknowledged her. But if you want help from angels and other entities beyond that, I think you do need to call them in, because angels are not allowed to interfere in human patterns unless we let them in. Now that's my understanding of angels, and to some extent ascended masters, these guys. But may I remind you that they channeled this garden through me, and I didn't ask them to come anywhere near me. I was just sitting in my house in February and said, "You want me to do what?" And I ended up with a divination tool, and I am very close to having a whole book on how to read this little sucker. So it's just polite, and it's also nice to know who you've invited in, and it's like using the violet flame to sweep out negative energy, because when you're peddling and bringing in energy, you're bringing it in, you're also, things come in too. I happen to be one of those readers who believes there is such a thing as evil or nasty or things that want to take over your lives. I brought one home from a party I did, and in my bedroom I have a wall of crosses, and this sucker pinned me to the bed and put bruises on my arms, and then I said the Lord's Prayer and he disappeared. But he did that in front of a wall of crosses. I mean, God, what do I need to wear garlic to bed? Blah. Fortunately, I don't have anyone in bed with me, except my poor cat. But I'm just saying, I'd rather ask in the good people and try to understand them and try to acknowledge them. And if you think you're dealing from intuition, acknowledge that too. Anyway, you guys have a great day. I'll be on again tomorrow. It was 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Remember, Danny's thing will go up Sunday morning early about Lionsgate, and Diane Aquarius is going to do a whole presentation about Lionsgate on 8/8 at 8 in the evening Eastern Daylight Time. And I'll be back tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day.